Hallam. For those that do not know, we, and I say we because yes, my assistant's dog Jake comes with me, are currently studying human nutrition and health at Sheffield Hallam University. It's a massive fucking university, mind. And the other day, we were at the Sports and Societies Fair. We went for the quiet hour, which actually, ironically, wasn't all that quiet because a fuck ton of people turned up. And no, I'm not apologising for me swearing because that happens either way. But I also realised a whole heap of other things at that fair. There was absolutely fuck all there to do with disability. There was no disability societies. There was no disability verified events. There was nothing covering, oh shit, we might actually have invisible disabled people that come to this fair that might actually need help, that might want to join our societies. Maybe we should figure this shit out before we start going on about how we want to include everyone. There was nothing to do with anything to do with disability. I understand that not every person who has autism or who has an invisible disability will want to go to those events. However, I am very aware of the fact that if we'd had, say, some form of frigging disability awareness in Hallam, or if we have, or had, or come up with it, it kind of needs to be at that fair, because then maybe someone will learn something and won't be such a judgmental prick when someone like me wants to come and do an activity. And I'm not just talking about me with my assistant's dog, I'm talking about people like me in general, whose disabilities aren't effing visible. You can't see me bloody autism, or my NLD, or any other condition I've got for that matter, unless you A, know me and know what stimming is, or B, you see me with me a service dog and he's got his assistant's dog vest on. You can't see any of my conditions. That is why they're called invisible conditions, or invisible disabilities. So how the feck do people expect us to go around acting as though they've done, they know what they're doing and they're inclusive and all this shit, when they don't even have the actual understanding or the context or the ability to spot someone who might be struggling, that might actually want it, that might want to be represented at that fair. Yes, by all means, Hallam Student Union, you did a fantastic fucking job at making sure that we didn't get pissed on by the rain. You did a fantastic job at making sure we weren't fucking badgered by people that were trying to get us to join political parties. And you did say that if we needed help, we could come to them and pointed out what they'd be wearing. However, I guarantee you didn't do that to everyone. The only reason I have a feeling you did it for me was because I had him with me. And I'm pointing that way because the assistant's dog is currently sat on the sofa and that's where it is. So you wouldn't have done that for everyone. You only did it for me because I guarantee either because you were told to or because it was obvious I was disabled. But if I didn't have Jake, as I watched multiple other people go through this who didn't have a service animal and who clearly didn't wear a sunflower lanyard either, that signifies a hidden disability, you didn't go up to them and explain, hey, if you're lost or you need help, this is what we're wearing, this is where we are. Is that just because I was visibly disabled? Do you only hold prejudice to those who are invisibly disabled? Because that's illogical to me. I don't get it. I understand that the sunflower lanyard exists for that reason, that it makes the invisible visible. But at the same time, not everyone's going to be wearing those. Not everyone with an invisible disability is going to be comfortable wearing their invisible disability on their chest or around their neck with that lanyard. Not every person with an invisible disability is going to be like, I want to show off that I'm invisibly disabled. That's also a really weird way of putting it. I don't mean show off as in fucking pride in having disabilities, because honestly they're one of the hardest things on the fucking planet to live with. I mean as in, oh hey, I need to symbolise to others that are not so educated on this subject that I'm disabled, but I don't want to do it wearing a friggin' all pretty coloured thing that says I have a fucking disability or I am fucking invisibly disabled. I am more than happy to be loud and noisy and advocate for myself and say I am disabled, I need this. but not everyone is going to do that, and not everyone will want to wear a lanyard to do that. But there was fuck all at that societies fair that signified, one, that they were willing to be inclusive, two, that they knew a fuck all about disability, and three, that they actually had any sort of willingness to learn. This is not the first instance of this sort of thing happening with Sheffield Hallam either. I mean, this is probably the second time that this has happened in just this fair alone. Sheffield Hallam have an atrocious track record of employees, of staff that are so limitedly knowledgeable about invisible disabilities. Every single one of their learning contracts, and I know this because I've asked, outside that society's fair, which has nothing to do with like the full educational system, but it links in, I promise, their learning contracts, unless you specifically go to them and say, hey, I need this, or this is specific to my condition, is fucking template. It's copy and pasted. It's a generalised one. So if you want more than the generalised shit that they offer, you have to do it. You have to tell them. You have to communicate. Which brings up a whole heap of fucking issues for people like me who have communication disabilities, or people who have executive functioning issues, or people who generally don't know what they need until someone points it out. And I guarantee they won't have thought of that because they don't know. I don't think anyone on the disability staff will have thought about that, which is also probably why they didn't have anyone on disability or in a disability section in the fucking society's fair. Because yes, there should be a society or a section for people with disabilities, because there was one for LGBT, there was one for frigging Hindus, there was one for Christians, there was one for religious sects, there was one for like all the other types of things and identities people can have. Where the fuck was the one for people with disabilities? Why does this not exist? Helen, what are you doing other than drawing people like me away from wanting to do things because I didn't feel included? I felt as though I was being shoved away every time I went up to somewhere, because although the people were lovely, they had no idea about disabilities. People were running away from Jake and acting as though he shouldn't exist, even though he legally has rights. And you didn't seem to understand that what you were doing was weird. Like, you don't seem to get that people are not necessarily going to sit there and be silent when they're treated like shit because they're disabled. I'm one of those people. I don't have an indoor voice to save my life. I've been brought up to advocate for myself. I'm not going to sit there and pretend that I'm okay with being excluded from something just because I'm disabled. Like, one, that's discrimination, which is against the law, and two, if I want to join something in and I have to advocate for myself to do it, that's totally fine, but at the same time you can't point blank refuse someone just because they have a disability. Like, Helen, what the fuck are you doing? Use your damn brains. And yes, because it's me, and because my brain has no filter, there is a lot of swearing in this rant, and I'm not going to be professional, but I don't see why I should be when their idea of professional is copy and pasting learning contracts and ignoring people advocating for themselves unless they do it face to face or over the phone, because apparently even email is a stretch too far for them. And yes, because it's me, I wrote a poem about it because that's how I deal with it. So yes, I'm going to read this poem, and I'm going to probably then sign off and go and meow at my dog, as that is usually how I cope with things. So please excuse me if I sound a bit like I've had a meltdown, or I sound a bit weird. I'm exhausted. Okay. You don't see my disabilities and complex medical problems in reality. You see them through rose-tinted, constantly positive glasses. You don't see my reality, a reality of isolation, anxiety, exclusion, pain. It's as though to you that I'm some inspo porn, a one-trick pony, as it were. But I'm not. I'm a human just like you. My diagnoses often mean communication difficulties, sensory issues, severe pain too. Days upon days of no moving or limited activity, so I can function slightly, but maybe one day a week. Yes, with meds. You don't see my reality in reality, more through rose-tinted glasses. You see the fake, portrayed on TV, non-difficult parts of disability. You don't see my disabilities and medical conditions in reality. You see them through good lenses of rose-tinted glasses. You ignore what I find hard to be able to glorify my diagnoses as a good wanting it thing. It's not a choice. It's exhausting, fatigue-making, migraine-inducing, seizure-inducing hell. For me, my reality is many pills a day with no real help, with multiple years of no answers, no care of thoughts of me. You see my diagnosis through the positive rose-tinted glasses. My complex conditions cause severe overwhelm, meltdowns, self-harming and sleepless nights, multiple tests a week or day, no off switch, no disguising this. You don't see my disability and medical conditions in reality. You see them through positive, rose-tinted, lying glasses. You don't see the days of mobility and personal care needs I need met. To the resources, aids, devices, routine, the slow processing and pain that come with my diagnoses and my complex medical conditions. Daily I fight overwhelm, anxiety, overstimulation, blurred vision and mood instability. Daily I fight processing difficulties, expression difficulties, seizures, rage and more. Due to my disabilities and my medical conditions, you don't see in reality. What will it take for you to see my diagnoses, all of them, in reality, like me? That's the end. Like, that's what I feel. Like, I don't see how hard it is to be able to see what I go through on a daily basis in a reality that isn't, oh, you'll be fine, or, oh, we can only do so much, or, oh, you just want to look like you actually need help when you don't need help. Because it's ridiculous. And I feel like that's how Hallam sees it. Like, yes, I need the help. No, my disability didn't disappear at 18. And no, I'm not apologising for that. Yes, I have multiple medical needs. Yes, I am complex. But that doesn't entitle me any less to education, to support, to use resources, to have friends, to have people that care about me, to have a stability, to have resources and aids that I'm entitled to. That doesn't stop just because I'm over the age of 18. It just maybe edits how they are put and how they are used. So please stop being a dick, Hallam, and you will get probably a bit better, more of a little less of a chaotic rant next time. Sincerely, a very, very frustrated, disabled student who isn't able to change her disability, who can't turn it off just because you don't like some of the side effects of said disability. Thank you.